teach you to. I had to do it one time. I haven't done it all these years. So at first, welcome. I was ready.
It's only been 1 year.
I was ready for it. It's been so many years.
I don't think it's been so many years.
Welcome to Valerie.
Welcome.
Today we are in Judges chapter 16.
It's going to be a great study today, isn't it?
Today.
Thank you for joining us, and I hope you have as good a time doing this as we have doing it. We are throwing you off course just a little bit because it is Sunday afternoon instead of Saturday evening, and we are in Judges chapter 16.
But probably most of you are listening to this on Monday and you don't care.
That's right. That's fine too.
And that's good too.
That's all
Everyone's
right.
welcome.
But just remember, we didn't just not do it.
Yes. That's
So
right.
for those of you that really like us and we appreciate your
I
comments,
don't know if there's anybody that
you don't think anybody likes us. Well, if you don't like us, I'm
Yes.
really sorry. But here we are again.
we are.
Judges chapter 16. See what happens? You've got everything all off track.
Welcome to battle already.
Judges chapter 16. Okay,
That's
start.
where we are. Okay, so in review, the book of Judges is split into two sections. The first section we are finishing today with the end of the story of Samson. The judges are Othniel, Ehud, Shamgar, Deborah, Gideon, Tola, Jair, Jephthah, Ibzam, Elon, Abdon, and Samson. That's who we've talked about so far.
And
Some of them have bigger stories than others, but that's
if
who's
we
there.
were related to Phil Fisher, who wrote through
Yeah,
the
I would sing it,
Better, we
but I
would sing
can't.
it to you, but we can't.
But I can't sing it. So those are the judges. So we've talked about judges are two things. Each one of these stories is telling us more than two things, really, but two that we focused on. One, what leadership should be, and most of the time we learn from their bad example what the true leader, Christ, is going to be. And the other thing we have is the condition of the nation at the time under that judge. Their leaders reflect their spiritual condition. So as we've walked through there, we've seen that God has chosen Israel. He's chosen them to be his people, to bring the Messiah, all these promises through them. He reminds them that he brought them here, and he's the one that they can depend on. But he also addresses their behavior as he walks them through. And their behavior is to not be very consistent, not be very committed. Right?
Yeah,
to be drawn away by their own
apostasy.
lust, right? And they're drawn away by the things that they fall in love with that are contrary to the will of God. And they suffer for that. Mm-hmm. But God is always faithful to do his part. When they call on his name, he comes in and he does what God always does.
And boy, we got this great one today. We're still on Samson.
So if you had to put it in what we've talked about so far in a summary, and I know this is an oversimplification, but obedience to God brings blessing. Right? It works. Mm-hmm. And it's worked all the way through the book of Judges. And disobedience brings pain. Right? And all the way through, when they're disobedient, they cause their own grief. And God is the ultimate
I don't think
faithful
there's
judge.
any worse grief than causing your own grief.
But that's what we do.
When you realize that you don't have to do. We also don't want to forget, and I know you said it, but you kind of said it quickly, and I think it's really important to say this, that God uses whomever he wants, whenever he wants, wherever he wants, however he wants, despite the fact that people looking at it, even us today, looking back on these characters would say...
And the reason we go, ugh, is because they're like looking into a mirror.
That's true.
They show us our flaws. Their flaws are our flaws,
mm-hmm.
right? They're the same thing. So we say, why would you pick them? Why would he pick you? And the other thing, the two sections... The judges, kind of in chronological order, that's what we have. There's a few things where they might overlap. The second half of the book that we'll start next week doesn't deal with any of the judges individually. It starts their stories interspersed in their fall into depravity. And we said from the very first chapter that Judges is a very dark book, and it's about to turn very dark because it's showing you why they need this leadership, why they need godly people to be raised up and to get them on the right path, to listen to God's word and follow after him. Because human beings are extremely wicked when left to their own devices, and without that instruction, without that commitment to God, things get really bad really quickly, and that'll be the last half of the book of Judges. It's not as many chapters, but it's the next section.
And as you see that, you see them moving themselves toward a king, which we know in Genesis when Isaac is blessing his sons, when Jacob's blessing his sons, he says the king's going to come from. So we know we're getting to a king,
to Judah,
but here we are. But you see why they need it, because we cannot rule ourselves.
Yes,
we just really can't, and they are not willing to let God be their king spiritually, and because they can't see him.
And so, just to go over the arc of Samson that we've covered so far. Samson has been separated by God from birth, before birth. He tells his mother for her to stay consecrated and sanctified, have that Nazirite vow while she's pregnant with him. And Samson has that he's separated him to his
and
will.
define the Nazirite vow, because
it is a special. It's almost like what we would say today was like fasting
or a dedication.
Or a special dedication, a separation for a holy position, right? He's not to touch anything that has to do with grapes or wine or any kind of alcoholic beverage or anything with that. He's not supposed to defile himself or become unclean, like touching a dead body, doing things that make us spiritually unclean. And he is not supposed to cut his hair. That's a sign of what he's doing. It lets everybody know, hey, this guy's on business for God. He's separated to do a job. Usually we said it was temporary. For Samson, he was separated from before birth. He was supposed to keep up this Nazirite vow. Now, and he's done a terrible job at that.
He has.
Because he went to find the woman he loved in a vineyard, right? He's going toward, and she's a Philistine. She's one of the enemies that God has raised him up to defend the nation against. They've been under the rule of the Philistines.
He's forgotten all about staying separate from all these things.
His job from birth is to be the beginning of them getting out from underneath.
He ate honey out of a dead lion, right?
So he's touched the unclean thing.
That was
he's
gross.
done the
We talked about that
thing.
a lot.
Right?
But here's another thing I just want us to think about. We don't have pictures of Samson, but we always have the depiction of Samson being this very Hercules type guy, muscles and strong and big, and I'm not sure that he was that.
I'm not sure that he wasn't.
I'm not sure that he wasn't that. There isn't anything that says that. But anything that you look at is going to depict him that way. There is something about, I don't know, I caught it this time in a few of the words. Maybe we'll be able to touch on that today. But there's a few of the words here that make it surprising that he has the strength. And the goal is, why is he strong? What's he?
It's a mystery to his enemies.
Yeah, why is he so strong? So I don't know. I would think it would be. I just think it would be neat if he wasn't necessarily this huge hunk Hercules
even if
guy.
He was.
But
the things that he's doing, you can't do.
And
even if he is the big muscular hunk.
True.
He's not. The miracles that God is doing through Samson aren't things that any mortal man can do.
Correct.
Taking a jawbone of a donkey and slaying 1,000 or killing 300 at the feet.
Correct.
These
or
things
tearing out a gate
and
walking down the road with it. Yes.
Well, that's coming. He's the deliverer that God appointed, and it'll tell you every time the Spirit of God came upon him, and he did this thing. His power comes from God.
It's just interesting that I just got a feeling when we meet him, he's not going to be what we think he is, and
if he was,
and here's the other piece of that. It doesn't say, so no matter what we say about that or what our thoughts are about that, that's purely speculation, because nowhere does it say he's 6'4" and he's muscle bound. It never says that, so it left that alone on purpose. The only thing that we do have to remember is that in Hebrews, he's listed in the line of faithful in Hebrews chapter 11. So no matter what we think,
God calls him faithful.
God called him, put him in that list.
Okay.
And I think that tells us more right there than we could stop and talk about that forever, about how we decide what we think God should be calling faithful. Because when I look at this chapter today, I'm like, what is wrong with Samson? But God,
you also skipped the last verse of chapter 15, if you're not careful, everybody, when you read this, when I read this, is he has the trouble that he has marrying a Philistine woman who is given to his best man. And he has the trouble he gets caught up in his pride and arrogancy with that riddle that causes him to have the slaughter of the Philistines, right? And he's got all these things going on. She dies. Her father dies. There's all this trouble that happens. But if you don't read for 20 years, he faithfully judged Israel.
Yes, and I think that's
for 20 years, it says, they had peace in the days of Samson. 20 years. He
judged Israel in the days of the Philistines 20 years. Which is another thing that we talk about a lot, but when you read this, you just kind of read it in chronological order.
Like
this happened, and this
happened,
and this happened, and that. But 20 years is a long time. Yes, to be doing it right.
Maybe.
Couldn't be doing it all
wrong.
Doesn't
say he didn't.
Right.
It just says that for 20 years, he ruled. And then those old
In the
sins creep back
days of
in.
the
Those
Philistines.
old tendencies come back in to play, and that's where we start chapter
Here
16.
we go. Chapter 16. Mine is labeled Samson's moral weakness.
Okay, well,
I don't know that that's but here
there's
we go.
some weakness here.
There's definitely common sense is kind of gone too, but anyway. All
Why
right.
is it we think we can only be foolish when we're young? Why is it that we don't think old people can be foolish?
Well,
I think they can.
You know what? We visit a gentleman every week in Columbus, and he's 95 years old, but he still gets a little embarrassed, and he likes for us to tease with him about the ladies thinking he's the new guy. Mm-hmm. I don't think we ever lose that. We don't. Just because we get old, we don't stop being human, right?
Yep.
Does that make sense?
And you're still tempted by some of the same things. They're not new.
No, they're not new. But we do that. We categorize people, and here's, I know we said that sort of kind of this morning in Sunday school. We aren't the judge of things. We can't read their hearts and minds. We don't know. I smile, and I like to tease our 95-year-old friend when he's making comments, and we're teasing him about the ladies chasing after him, but he kind of, I don't know.
He's still a person.
He's still a human being, no matter
with
how
the
old
same
he is.
thoughts
Yes.
and the same.
And we forget that. All right, verse 1 of chapter 16. Then Samson, see, there I go, reading too fast. Then went Samson to Gaza, and saw there a harlot, and went in unto her.
I want to say a couple things about that verse.
Well, that's wrong right to begin with. Right?
Well, yeah, but I want to say a couple things about that. Okay, so the first time he went, and I knew I was going to forget if I didn't write it down. The city he went to choose his wife was the city of vineyards.
Timnah.
And the Philistines are in charge of everything. They are ruling over Israel at this time because of Israel's sin. Mm-hmm. First time he goes to the city of vineyards, he has no business going there. So choose a wife. This time, Gaza is different. Gaza is not a city of vineyards. It's a city of forts. It's a fortified. It's like going to Fort
Randolph?
No, like an American army base. If you weren't this is a fortified, full of soldiers, full of Philistines that are very serious place that he's entering into.
Gaza's still around.
Gaza's still around, but when he makes this
Gaza.
choice, when he makes this choice, I think the very first sentence in this chapter tells you something about where Samson is that you're going to see play out in this chapter. He's not nervous about going to a place that
should be nervous about
going into. There's almost an overconfidence from the first line in the fact that he's got these gifts that God has given him. But Samson, you can see in this chapter, thinks those gifts are his own possession, that he can't lose them.
Or he's not
afraid. He's so used to being able to do and overcome anything within this giftedness that God's given him. That there's not he tiptoed into Gaza.
I want to say
he goes down to Gaza and gets a harlot.
I'm not sure that I'm wrong.
Unclean.
Yep.
This is forbidden. He can actually, it's under the death penalty under Jewish law for what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he's saying, well, it can't hurt me. Right? I'm going to go down and do this in this place. I'm going to do this thing because I want to. There's almost an attitude from the very first line that I can do whatever I want.
Judah did the same thing though, right? He went down
to a harlot.
But it was his daughter-in-law.
Right.
But he thought it was a harlot, like it was no big deal.
Yeah.
But it is a big deal.
With that thought but I can get away with this, no one knows, and God wrote it down.
Mm-hmm.
And had it written down, had the story written down, and cost him.
And everybody talks about it even to today.
Right. But you can see that. So what are you doing in Gaza? 2, you're a judge of Israel. Why are you seeking out a harlot?
You know what it's kind of like? It's kind of like that original cam. Remember the picture on the cam?
Yes, the at the concert with the thing. Yeah. Like nobody thinks they're going to get busted. Nobody thinks they're going to get busted.
Yeah.
Samson is doing this not thinking, oh, this is going to be my downfall. He's thinking, I can handle anything.
Which is just exactly what Scripture says about the downfall of man all the way through.
You think you can? You're the one that can get away with it.
You can handle it, but you can't.
Right.
And what you said is so very true. We're still talking about. Anytime we study Judah, we're still talking about that.
You didn't get away with it.
Every time we talk about Samson, we're still talking about that event that happened.
Second thing I want to say is everybody then, if you ask people, the regular people, about Samson and Delilah, they'll tell you Delilah was a prostitute. She was not. This lady that's a prostitute and Delilah are two separate people.
Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't even say, now I know we can assume things, or maybe people assume things that are, and they might be right. It doesn't say that Delilah slept with Samson. It doesn't. It says he went to sleep in her house and was away. I'm just saying, don't put, he probably did. I don't know. But this is a prostitute and Delilah is a woman he falls in love with. They're two separate people. They're two separate people. Right.
And I believe both Gaza and Sorek, if I'm not wrong, and I could be, so I probably shouldn't even say it. But I know Gaza is still that place. You still hear them talk about Gaza, but it's kind of like right on the border between the two.
Well, but they're in charge of everything right there.
Right, yeah.
But here's the other thing. He's a picture of Israel. And what does he keep falling in love with?
The wrong thing.
He keeps falling in love with the idol worshipers and their ways and their beauty and their temptation. What's his dad and mom say? Isn't there anybody in all of Israel that you're interested in?
Just always got to go
that's following the Lord. Why do you always have to go and chase after these things that are not meant for you?
So why
they're not yours?
That's not new either.
But that's where they are as a nation.
And that didn't get left back there either. We still do that.
When we get into the darkness that's coming, it's because of this thing that you keep chase after things that God didn't intend for you. They're not yours. They belong to something else. Why do you keep doing the same thing?
Why do you keep going in? And haven't you, I don't know, maybe.
Because you think you can handle it.
Because you think
that's why you keep going.
But haven't you done that in your own life? In some instances, you maybe not that bad, maybe not a prostitute, or maybe not, but you find yourself saying you're sorry.
I know what I believe,
for
but I can handle this.
And I'm saying sorry to God for the same thing over and over. Did you ever learn to just stop doing that? Don't do that. If that, why do we keep doing those things that we know not to do?
So the Philistines are notified.
All right, so he's there. And it was told the Gazites, saying, Samson is come hither. And they compassed him in, and laid wait for him all night in the gate of the city, and were quiet all the night, saying, In the morning, when it is day, we shall kill him. And Samson lay till midnight, and arose at midnight, and took the doors of the gate of the city, and the two posts, and went away with them, bar and all, and put them upon his shoulders, and carried them up to the top of an hill that is before Hebron.
So let's unpack this a little bit. First of all, I just told you they're in a fort city. Armies of Philistines are here. They don't come in and get Samson. Think about the reputation that he has in the Philistine nation, which is what God intended. For him to display the power of God, right? He's supposed to bring an end to the beginning of the end of the Philistine rule is what he's supposed to do. And they don't come in and get him. They send spies to the gate. And let me explain. I looked this gate up and how this would be or how this would look like. And they said most of these city gates, it would most likely be 2 stories high. That the city gates had guard towers in them where these spies would have been able to wait. Because they wanted to wait till night, right? They want to wait to kill him. They don't want to wait. They don't want to fight and awake Samson. He's got a reputation. They would have been able to hide in the top of this gate. This is not like a gate on your pasture. And he puts that on his shoulder and drags it from Gaza to the next city that he goes to. And I didn't write down the name of the city. But when I looked up how far that is, it's 40 miles.
Before Hebron.
40 miles. Of that city gate that he's dragging. This is not, I don't care how muscled up you are. I don't care what weights you're lifting. You can't do this without the power of God on him. He is an extreme, from birth, separated, blessed, anointed deliverer for Israel. And the reason I keep going back to that is because your job, reading the book of Judges, is to compare him to Christ. Chosen before he was born, the Son of God, Christ, the Son of God, to be a deliverer, to carry the weight on his shoulders, to be a warrior against the enemies, the powers that are trying to take you down, to deliver his people out of the hand of bondage. Look at the difference in these two men, the way they conduct their lives, the things that they love, the things that their attitudes toward what God has given them to do. Jesus, right off the bat, as soon as his earthly ministry begins, is taken into the wilderness by Satan, and Satan tries everything he can offer him to keep him from sacrificing himself for his people, right? Satan just tempts him, and Jesus is like, no, I'm going to do the will of my Father. I'm going to do what I came here to do. The Word of God, right? He keeps standing on the Word of God. Samson goes as far over the line as he can possibly go, violates every part of his vow, right? You've got this amazing anointing, this amazing power, and you don't care. All you care about is using it to do whatever it is you want to do. God still gets his way in his weakness.
And he still uses
but look at
it.
the difference in those two leaders. We're supposed to be examining that, right? And there's a huge difference in their attitude. But think, 40 miles uphill to Hebron with a city gate that he's able to drag. That's not just a strong man.
And then it just stops that part. It just stops talking about
That's
that
the
part
end of that.
and goes into a new thing. So there was like, that plan failed.
No one pursued.
No, that plan failed completely.
Would you pursue?
No.
Someone who can do that. They're like,
No.
we leave that alone.
Yep, they didn't even go after him. And it says, don't forget that he had killed so many people, like you said earlier, with the jawbone of a donkey. It wouldn't have taken, if he had a whole gate to hurt you with.
I'm just saying, this person he's not been in the gym. He's been anointed by God to do a job. And he has everything he needs to do it. Only he is pushing.
And he went away with them, bar and all.
All of it.
Bar and all. That's interesting. That it specifically says the bar and all. Bar and all.
Because of how heavy that would be.
Put that upon his shoulders, carried them up
It
to
doesn't
the top
tell you
of a
whether
hill.
the men got out. They might have still been in the tower. It doesn't tell. It's specified. It just says he dragged the whole thing. He gets up before they get up at midnight, instead of waiting till it's deeper in the dark when they were going to ambush him and kill him, and drags the thing 40 miles.
And then it's a period and it stops all over.
Okay.
It stops at verse 4 and starts over. So this is why I think people think that the harlot and Delilah are the same, because that little bit of his tale is done. Right? This is
that
over.
happened.
That's over.
And now we're going
So now we say, and it came to pass afterwards that he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek whose name was Delilah. So
it's interesting. It says he loved her.
He loved
It doesn't
her.
say he got a woman or chose. He loved a woman.
He loved a woman in the valley of Sorek. And I did look up Sorek, but it didn't have anything other than it means vine.
Yeah. We're back to the vineyard.
We're back to the vine. And the lords of the Philistines came up unto her and said unto her, entice him and see wherein his great strength lieth, and by what means we may prevail against him, that we may bind him to afflict him, and we will give thee every one of us 1,100 pieces of silver.
Don't go too fast over the price on his head. I don't know how many lords of the Philistines there are, but 1,100 pieces of silver from each one of them.
It's a lot of
Now it
money.
says Samson loved her, but it is obvious she did not love Samson.
Because she knows right up front, we're going to entice him, we're going to find out where his strength is, that we can
That makes me
prevail
sad.
against him. We're going to bind him and afflict him. She knows that.
Because you can read this one of two ways, and either one of them can be true. You can read this into he's the biggest idiot in the world. I find it hard to believe that God chose the biggest idiot in the world. Maybe. He can do whatever he wants. He can do whatever he wants. I think, in my opinion, and my opinion is nothing but my opinion, he's playing with her. He loves her, but he's playing games. I don't think Samson thinks there's any risk of him not being able to get up and do anything he wants to do anytime he wants to do it.
So you think his arrogance
I think
outweighs
he's not just arrogant, but so sure that the power's in him. Right?
Could be.
That the confidence is in what he's been able to do. Because look what he's been able to do. that he thinks I can do that anytime I want, and I've already broken the vow several times. So why would it be any different now?
But and I'm not disagreeing. I agree with that thought too. And it doesn't say specifically why.
No.
But it does say he loved her.
It does.
He loved a woman.
Because if you didn't, after the first time she betrays you, she's done.
Yeah, you would think.
He loves her.
You would
and
think
he's playing games.
you would still be smart enough to
I
put
can
that
handle this. And anytime I want to, because it says later he got up to shake it like every other time. And
So
he
here's
did
the
not
thing.
know that the Lord had
So here's
departed.
the thing, though. I don't know.
Why does he think this particular thing? I don't believe, yes, it's the last part of the Nazirite vow, but I don't think Samson is thinking when they cut my hair, and we're jumping ahead of all these things, that he's thinking, well, that'll be it. God won't be with me. Because it says he gets up thinking he'll get up like every other time. And he thinks that this thing God gave him is about him. But the thing God gave him is about him. And it's about the power of God that comes upon him. And Samson has to learn a horrible lesson. That it's not you.
Aren't you kind of glad we don't have to learn the lesson with the same?
That's an intense, and we got to read it so everybody knows what we're talking about. But I think Samson is just, he's so many times violated, stepped over the line, done these things, that he doesn't think there's a chance that he can't do it again.
In modern terminology, that would be desensitizing.
You know what people do is they presume on the goodness of God. God is good, always. But people will presumptively assume that no matter what they do, they're going to be able to get away with it because God's good after all. And he's given me these things so I can handle doing what God told me not to do because, you know, God is gracious and he's good and he's loving. He's not, listen, you can't presume. Sometimes the goodness of God is justice and truth and righteousness. Sometimes the goodness of God is stopping you from going so far you don't come back.
Well, and let's go on and show what that means. And verse 6, and Delilah said to Samson, tell me, I pray thee, wherein thy great strength lieth, and wherewith thou mightest be bound to afflict thee. Hey, Samson.
I don't think he's sitting there going, oh, isn't this sweet? She's not going to hurt me. I think he thinks I can handle her.
She's just a woman.
You know, men think they can handle a lot of things, but the one thing they can't handle is a woman they love. Adam couldn't. David couldn't. Right? Solomon couldn't.
Matter of fact, the reference
Samson
to this
can't.
piece goes to Samson and Solomon. A good woman can make a good man.
And it's not her fault. It is, but it's not. It's his fault. But you know what you can't handle is that. You can't handle loving the things God has told you to stay away from. You can't.
That's
and you think you can, but you can't. This is a message to Israel, not just Samson. You can't keep chasing after these things that God said are not yours and end up okay. You're going to be hurt.
Bad. And in this case, dead. So she doesn't hide what she's doing.
No.
She says...
But she doesn't say, I'm going to go tell the Philistines.
No, it says, wherein is your great strength, and wherewith thou mightest be bound to afflict thee. What can we do
Not
to you?
we. She doesn't say we yet.
Wherewith thou mightest be bound
that you might be able to be
afflict
hurt.
thee.
Yeah.
And Samson said unto her, if they bind me with 7 green withs that were never dried, then shall I be weak and be as another man. It's funny, I haven't heard the word withs in a long time, but we used that when we used to go out and cut a limb or
That's what I was saying. Young trees, right?
Little like a branch
branches.
off a bush or whatever. Yeah. I haven't heard that in a while, but in Appalachia rural where we are, there are people who still use that phrase. What does it say? Where am I? Verse 8. Then the lords of the Philistines brought up to her 7 green withs that had not been dried, and she bound him with them.
There's no way she can bound him with them without him allowing it. There's no way. This is a game. She's not overpowered Samson and tied him up with these things. Samson's playing a game with her, and he's going to show her that he can break him like it's nothing, right? And make a fool out of her. He loves her.
That's crazy.
He's playing a game with her, but it's not like she tricked him.
So the game is not so much her as it is his arrogance.
And I can handle this. I can handle this.
Well, he's going to find out he can't in the end here. Verse 9. Now there were men lying in wait.
Doesn't say he ever sees them. They're just waiting to see if it works. Now there were men
lying in wait, abiding with her in the chamber.
Mm-hmm.
And she said unto him, The Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he brake the withs as a thread of tow is broken when it toucheth the fire. So his strength was not known.
This is interesting in the progressiveness of this thing. Okay, so that thread of tow, I looked that up today. So you take whatever fibers that you're going to make into a thread. This is the little strands of fiber. And it's like if you took one of these little fluffs of fiber that you're going to twist and make into a thread and you put it over the fire, how it would just go like that, like it's less than nothing. This is progressive because keep listening to the words. Think of what he's entangling himself in.
He's playing
this game. Right. At first, he breaks it like it's just this nothing little bit of fluff that can be burned in a fire. It's not. He just sits up and it's gone, right? So what feeds his overconfidence, his arrogance, like you're saying, his ability to handle this? He's like, see, you can't. He's with someone who's breaking the vow. He's already breaking the vow.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And he's like, see, I can handle it. Right?
Poor Samson.
God's still giving me the strength, if he's saying that at all, or I'm still strong. It's nothing.
Or it has nothing to do with green with, so I know better.
Well, I don't even know that it had. If we're talking about breaking the vow, he's already broken the vow several times over, right? Mm-hmm. He's breaking the vow by being there. He's making up the green widths part. Mm-hmm. But if it was about breaking the vow, then he doesn't have any more strength because he's already broken the vow. He doesn't think it matters.
It matters. And here we go. And we should learn from that too. It does matter. All right. And verse 10, And Delilah said unto Samson, Behold, thou hast mocked me and told me lies. Now tell me, I pray thee, wherewith thou mightest be bound. What can we tie you up with? And he said unto her, If they bind me fast with new rope that never were occupied, then shall I be weak and be as another man. Delilah therefore took new ropes and bound him therewith, and said unto him, The Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And there were liers in wait, abiding in the chamber, and he brake them from off his arms like a thread.
He doesn't see the liars in wait.
They've been there both times.
She's tying him up. She's playing a game. He's playing a game. It's nothing.
And he broke them like a thread.
Not like a piece that makes into a thread. Now it's a whole thread. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. It's progressive.
Well, ropes are a little stronger than widths too.
But it has nothing to do with the strength of the things because he's already shown you his strength is incredible, otherworldly, divinely given. But watch how he gets tangled. From a fuzz to a thread, to the next we're going to read about a woven weaver's beam.
And Delilah said unto Samson, Hitherto thou hast mocked me, and told me lies. Tell me wherewith thou mightest be bound. And he said unto her, If thou weavest the 7 locks of my head with the web. And she fastened it with the pin.
Which and said you guys have seen a loom, right? They're talking about the 2 parts, the big heavy part and the part that goes like this, the pin. Okay?
Mm-hmm. The Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he wake out of his sleep, and went away with the pin of the beam and with the web.
Fuzz to thread to the whole woven thing. The locks braided, or the cloth braided. He's getting more and more tangled in this game. It still seems like it's nothing. He still seems like he wins. He still seems like this is not a contest. But the stakes are getting higher. Mm-hmm. Right?
Mm-hmm. Verse 15, And she said unto him, How canst thou say I love thee, when thine heart is not with me?
He should have said, How can you say you love me when you keep trying to trap me so that people can kill me?
But he doesn't.
Didn't occur to him.
Thou hast mocked me these 3 times, and hast not told me wherewith thy great strength lieth. Now this is the line that is interesting to me. And it came to pass, when she pressed him daily with her words, and urged him, so that his soul was vexed unto death.
He's worn out.
that he told her all his heart, and said unto her, There hath not come a razor upon mine head, for I have been a Nazarite unto God from my mother's womb. If I be shaven, then my strength will go from me, and I shall become weak, and be like any other man. Mm-hmm. And when Delilah saw that he had told her all his heart, she sent and called for the lords of the Philistines, saying, Come up this once, for he hath showed me all his heart. Then the lords of the Philistines came up unto her, and brought money in their hand. And she made him sleep upon her knees, and she called for a man, and she caused him to shave off the 7 locks of his head.
Wait. She made him sleep upon her knees, and called for a man, and caused that man to shave off 7 locks of his head. How well is he sleeping?
Pretty good, evidently.
Maybe not. What's going on here?
And she began to afflict him, and his strength went from him.
She starts to hurt him. Again, we're playing a game.
Mm-hmm.
She can't hurt him. She's trying to hurt him. To cause him
But then
pain.
it says, and then she said, The Philistines be upon thee, Samson.
Have you ever gotten a haircut asleep?
Nope. That's what it
So
says.
it says that he laid down and went to sleep. You don't think Samson
made him
knows?
sleep upon her knees.
Right.
And
Yeah,
she
what'd
called
she
for
make
a
him
man,
do?
and she caused him to shave off the 7 locks of his head.
He's either a very good sleeper,
She
and
dragged
somebody
him.
could come in and shave off the locks of his head, or he was asleep, but he knows this is happening
Or
and doesn't
she-
think anything's going to happen.
It
Because
says-
read the next verse.
But it says she made him sleep. So
I can't put things that aren't there, but it seems really strange to me that somebody could shave 7 locks of hair off your head and you not know it while you're laying there.
but she made him sleep.
Yeah.
So she could have given him something to drink. I mean,
It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that, but it's an odd thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's worried at all that when he tells her, I've been a Nazarite, and he says all these things, I don't think he's worried at all that when she tries it, he's not going to be able to get up and do exactly what he's done every other time he's broken this vow.
Mm-hmm. So,
which is what the next part says.
And she said, verse 20, The Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he awoke out of his sleep and said,
I will
go out as at other times before and shake myself. And he wist not, or he knew not, that the Lord was departed from him.
It wasn't the hair. The hair's a picture. It's the power of God that's gone.
Mm-hmm. The Lord departed from him.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't have the strength that God gave him now. He doesn't have the Lord with him to do this thing. He thought, just like every other time, it's mine. I'll do with this gift what I want, and I'll be able to handle this. But he finds out when God is not there, he can't handle anything. He can't even handle her.
No, because she beats on him. Then she said, verse 21, But the Philistines took him and put out his eyes, and brought him down to Gaza, and bound him with fetters of brass, and he did grind in the prison house. Howbeit the hair of his head began to grow again after he was shaven.
Mm-hmm. What do you think?
I just think that's tremendously sad. And number 2, I think the Philistines are kind of dumb.
So he's blind, and they're treating him like an ox.
Philistines are kind of dumb,
like an animal.
Why didn't they have somebody down there to make sure his hair stayed not grown?
Because it has nothing to do with the hair. But the hair is a symbol of this vow. It's a symbol of this vow.
To grow again after he was shaven.
It's a starting over. The hair starts to grow again. Are we in the vow now? He's not touching wine now. He's not touching dead things now.
He can't see now.
He can't see now.
He's an animal now.
He's being treated like an animal, but the hair begins to grow. This is a starting over for Samson. It's a horribly painful, embarrassing starting over. And imagine this person who was chosen by God to do these great things. He's still going to accomplish the will of God in starting this thing, this freedom from the Philistines, but he's in such an embarrassing position because of his
Samson's
own
strength was not actually his hair. It was in his obedience to the vows of God. Right. And he didn't do very good with that either.
Because he didn't think it mattered.
But see,
do you not think that there are a lot of people gifted by God who think that gift is theirs?
So wait a minute.
So they use it for whatever they want?
So I want to stop a second. When we say that, he don't think it mattered. He's already seen these other and heard of these other judges. How could he not think it mattered?
you don't know people that have been gifted by God with talents. You think they belong to them and they can use them any way they want. And they don't realize that all that strength, all that power, that ability you have is not yours. It's borrowed. It's given to you for a while to use, like an investment of God in you for the glory and the kingdom of God. And you think, nah, it's mine. So I'll do whatever thing I want to do with it. You know, there's nobody that God has gifted that gift. You are the person administrating it. The Bible says that gift is right. But you can't just use it not caring that it came from God and use it for things that you shouldn't be using it for and do opposite of the will of God and expect to just waltz through life and not have punishment or judgment from that. Where much is given, much is required, right? He's been given something that he has wrongly assumed because he keeps pushing this line belongs to him, and it doesn't. Mm-hmm. It doesn't.
I get that, but do you not think that from verse 19 to 22, it is just horrible?
It is. We should have seen that coming.
He should have seen that coming.
But now he's blind.
He should have seen that coming.
Yeah.
When this person he loves, this isn't, but I don't know. When you look at it like a game, maybe.
He never dreamed he wouldn't be able to get up. Never dreamed. And I think that happens. Like we're shocked by that. That happens to people all the time. They're in a sin that they think they're in control of, and they wake up one morning and that sin is totally in control of them, and they can't find their way out. And all this time they thought, you know what? I'm smarter than everybody else. I'm able to handle this. I've got it in the right position. I know the right things. I'm going to get my life straightened out. I can handle this. And then one day you wake up and you can't handle nothing.
So that's completely in control. The same thing that God said to Cain. You can do right, but if you don't, sin lieth at the door. It's wanting to overtake you, and it will.
No alcoholic has ever taken a glass of alcohol and drank that and thought, this is going to kill me.
No.
One day you wake up and that's the master. One day you wake up, I'm not putting any more names on things. You know the things. Everybody listening to us knows the things where you thought, I had a handle on this. And now it's got me completely bound. I'm the dumb animal grinding the grain, serving this thing that I was just playing with. I thought this was a game I was playing, and I really enjoyed it when I first started, and now there's no joy in it. All there is misery, and it's got me.
And I've lost sight.
And I've lost everything because all I live for, right, is this thing I shouldn't have been loving to start with, right?
Mm-hmm. And then listen to the next part. So not only does it torment him, it says, verse 23, then the lords of the Philistines gathered them together for to offer a great sacrifice unto Dagon, their god, and to rejoice. For they said, our God hath delivered Samson, our enemy, into our hand. And when the people saw him, they praised their God, for they said, our God hath delivered into our hands our enemy, and the destroyer of our country, which slew many of us. So now he's bringing
glory to false god.
To false god. And you know he never thought any of that part.
Of course not. He's sunshine.
He is sunshine.
He's the gifted one. He's the set aside one. He's the one that can't do anything wrong. Look how many times he's won when he should have lost because he was in the wrong place and he was doing the wrong thing. And God, in his... Don't confuse the long suffering of God with the approval of God.
Yeah. And right? I think we do sometimes.
Don't confuse those two things. God is long suffering. He's patient. He's merciful. He's all these things.
On you to get
but that doesn't mean he's approving of your choices.
And at the same time.
And there's consequences.
At the same time, this is within 20 years, right? This is 20 years. Because it says that he judged Israel in the days of the Philistines 20 years. And now here he is. Bound. And he's ending here. He's getting ready
blind
to end.
And he's bound and he's bald.
We're not going to
freebies.
No, we're not doing that.
He's a dumb old boy.
Well, I still have a problem with how can you not be smart enough to know she's not. You love her, but she's hurting you. She's out. She's
take she out of it and put anything that's hurting you that you keep doing and you know you ought not do.
Still.
What do you mean still?
No,
We can handle it. It's okay. I'll fix it later. I'll do what I'm supposed to do later. I'm in control of this. I can do what I want.
Verse 25. And it came to pass when their hearts were merry, that's the Philistines, that they said, call for Samson that he may make us sport. In other words, we're going to laugh at Samson. We're going to bring him out and look at him. And they called for Samson out of the prison house, and he made them sport, and they set him between the pillars. And Samson said unto the lad that held him by the hand.
He's a sideshow.
He's a sideshow, but he's also being led
entertaining.
by a young child, right? Mm-hmm. He's being led by a lad. This strongest man, this defender of Israel, this judge, is being led by a kid.
Because he can't see.
The lad that held him by his hand, suffer me that I may feel the pillars whereupon the house standeth, that I may lean on them. Samson says, just put me where the, what is it called? Not the foundation beam. What is it called? When you have to have a certain beam and you're starting to support. Yeah, where it is. Verse 27. Now the house was full of men and women, and all the lords of the Philistines were there. And there were upon the roof about 3,000 men and women that beheld while Samson made sport. Mm-hmm. And Samson called unto the Lord and said, O Lord God, remember me, I pray thee, and strengthen me, I pray thee, only this once, O God, that I may be at once avenged of the Philistines for my 2 eyes. I just have this hurtful heart that his prayer that time, that's the only time we hear him pray.
That's recorded.
Right. We don't hear him praying about anything else.
But he knew.
But he prays, right? We don't hear him talk about his people or his history. We don't hear him talk about anything really except for what he wants to accomplish. Mm-hmm. But here he prays to God. And I can imagine that his heart in this prayer is a little different than the heart would be had he prayed before some of the other things. And Samson took hold of the 2 middle pillars upon which the house stood, and on which it was borne up, one with his right hand and of the other with his left. And Samson said, let me die with the Philistines. And he bowed himself. Can you imagine if there's other Israel people anywhere around knowing this is going on? Doesn't say that there are, but somebody wrote this down. Told the 2 pillars. Samson said, let me die with the Philistines. And he bowed himself with all his might, and the house fell upon the lords and upon all the people that were therein. So the dead which he slew at his death were more than they which he slew in his life. Then his brethren and all the house of his father came down, and took him, and brought him up, and buried him between Zorah and Eshtaol, in the burying place of Manoah his father. And he judged Israel 20 years.
You remember when God brought him into
Why is that so sad? That is so sad.
When God brought him into the promised land, he told him, I'm going to give you this. One will chase 1,000, mm-hmm. right? I'll give you vineyards you didn't plant. You'll reap harvests that you didn't work for. You'll be blessed, right? God will fight your battles ahead of you. He'll protect you. But he said, if you become like these nations around you, right? If you start worshiping these other gods, your punishment will be the same as theirs. Mm-hmm. Not to over-spiritualize, but that's Israel.
That's what they
And
did.
what happened with Samson is those things that he loved that were not for him, right? Mm-hmm. That he goes and he wants to be like everybody around him. He wants to be like the Philistines, wants to worship like them, be around them. I don't think he ever forgot who God was. Look at his prayer. He knows who's God.
It just never
but he wants to be a part
of
these women. He wants to be a part of these places. He wants to go where he's not supposed to go. He ends up like Israel in a position where not only did they get destroyed, Israel got carried into captivity as well. It got punished for the same sins because they're doing the same thing everybody around them is doing and bringing glory to these false idols just like Samson did. He dies in a shameful way. God still accomplished his purpose even through his weakness.
Because he still killed the Philistines.
But it didn't have to be that way.
And he started.
Didn't have to be that.
Right? He started. He didn't. It doesn't say he's going to
Solomon
free them. He says he's going to start to free them.
Solomon says, right, that the end is more important than the beginning.
The end of a man.
Right? We've got a lot that people say disqualifies Samson from being somebody that God thinks did right. But that end is like, Lord, I need to do what I was supposed to do. Will you give me the strength to do what I was supposed to do? Did it cost him? Yes. Did he die too? Yes. Was it in horrible circumstances? Absolutely, because of his compromise. And he still accomplished what God called him to do.
You know what I read today, and I thought, now this is not in Scripture, so before I say it, it's not there. But everybody likes that story of Samson and Delilah to be a great love story.
It's not.
And they said, oh, but she died there too, because he told her to stay away, but no. And it wasn't a great love story because she didn't really love him
ever
at all. But the commentator.
That's the same thing with Israel too. Those people that they made this, they didn't love them. As soon as they got a chance, when Babylon comes and the nation is taken into captivity, the people around them gang up on them with them.
And
they sell them out. You read the book of Isaiah if you want to know what God thought about that.
Yeah.
Them ganging up with the enemy against his people. He judges them very harshly for that. You think these people are your friends and they are not. They're not your friend. Right? You're gonna die in the same heap.
Yeah, and then I heard one of the commentators say, "Well, this was suicide." So Samson is.
That's not what God said.
Then that's not what it said, right? It's not. I mean, it is.
Did he die in a battle against the Philistines?
He did.
Yes. Did it cost him his life? Yes. Did it have to be that way? No.
And still, time does not permit me to tell you of Samson.
But he fought against them to the end.
Yeah.
Did what he was supposed to do.
Finally.
And asked God for the strength to do what he was supposed to be doing all along.
So even though it's 20 years in the making, which is interesting because sometimes when you're reading Scripture, you don't realize that from chapter 15 to 16, it's 20 years, right? In all this stuff. He dies.
And don't forget, we're comparing this to the leadership of Christ and what we're looking for. Christ also dies to free his people, to set his people free. Only Christ doesn't stay dead. Christ has power over death. He wasn't in a sinful, compromised position. He wasn't doing push. He had all power. Satan says,
his sight.
Use this power to glorify yourself. Use this power to avoid the cross. Use this power to be a ruler over the world. Christ says, no, thank you. Right? He did what the Father asked him to do. He's the champion who dies to save his people, but lives because he did it the way God would have him to do. He, in all things, obedient to the Father, right? Samson tells us what Jesus is not like, as much as he tells us what Jesus is going to do, right? He's going to be specially born. He's going to lead his people. He's going to set them free. Samson has all these things set up, but Samson's biggest problem, you know what it is? He's a man, and I mean human, right? He's a person. And we needed God to do what needed to be done. So we needed Christ. We need a champion that holds up, that is faithful, that is obedient, that is a righteous judge, right? We need that one because these ones don't work very well.
So he tore apart a lion, a young lion. He scooped up bees and honey. I mean, that could have been painful too, right? He killed 30 Philistines for a garment to settle a bet.
Always love the ones.
He caught 300 foxes and tied their tails together. He broke free of ropes that bound him. He killed 1,000 men with the jawbone of an ass. He tore down the city gates. He fell in love with Delilah, and he pulled down the middle walls of a temple, Philistine temple, and killed more people in that moment than he had killed all along.
He reminds me of David's son.
Which one?
Absalom. He reminds me of the same kind of attitude of, I shouldn't be doing this, but I can handle this. I'm strong, I'm beautiful, I'm young. Look at all these people following me. They all think I'm great. And he fights against the one God put on the throne, right? He does it with reasons, with justifications, with my experience.
Which really and truly, when you think about that betrayal, because David wouldn't fight Saul because he was God's anointed.
Because of the respect.
He wouldn't touch that. He wouldn't, when he could have.
But Absalom says, I'm bigger than that.
I can handle
I'm bigger than that. I can do what I want.
So it sounds like in the story of Samson, our biggest takeaway, besides the pictures and things, is that we can't handle sin.
We can't. It'll get us. Right? We get close to it and it'll get us. But Christ can. He can handle that.
You know, it doesn't say how long they let him grind
No.
or do all that stuff.
His hair began to grow.
Or how long he was blind. I mean, it doesn't say how long. I mean, they could have kept it cut off for, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't say. But, I don't know. I just think Samson's a sad story. I think Delilah, trying to make that a love story is not good. It's not a love story. It might have been a one-way love, but at some point, Samson had to realize she was no good for him. Right? He has to realize that.
He loved a woman named Delilah. Came to pass that he loved a woman in the Valley of Sorek whose name was Delilah. He loved her.
I know it. But even after she does all that stuff, and again, like I said, that commentary said, oh, she was in the temple. She died with him because she couldn't be a part. No, that's nowhere anywhere in here. She probably was in the temple. Because
it was a lot of money. But if you would sell somebody for any amount of money, you don't love that person. I don't think...
It's kind of like the things, if I would give you $1 million, would you blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Right.
You are what you are.
Yeah.
Winston
I don't know.
Churchill said
You got about 4 minutes, so we probably ought to sum this up. Go for that. Older Christians, I mean, when I read this story, it makes me sad. Because I want him to be able to... where's his friends? Where's his people that are supposed to be advising him? Where's the crowd around him that says, Samson,
he's constantly running to the wrong crowd. He's constantly running to the ones that are trying to kill him.
True.
Don't you know people that do that?
Yes.
That are good people, that are lovely people, but they're constantly wanting validation from people that they have no business looking to for validation. They're constantly surrounding themselves with people that want to do them harm. They're jealous of them. They're envious of them. They want to destroy, bring it down to their level.
They talk nice.
Men, not just men, women do it too. We surround ourselves with people that would just as soon stab us in the back as look at us, right? And we'll say, but I really want them to like me and think I'm okay.
Friends.
And we're really good friends. But they're not your friend. You're their friend. They're not your friend.
You want that friendship.
You want that because you think that'll make you, I don't know what you think. But I just know that it happens all the time. Samson is common.
And Samson,
he's not
in my opinion, we don't hear him talking about or to God anytime but at the end. We don't see any friends around him to encourage him and to say, Samson, do you realize what she just did? Why are you falling for that? We don't have any of that. He's kind of like independent off by himself. Maybe that's because he's arrogant and he thinks he can handle that. And he can do this and he's not afraid. Mm-hmm. But even back here with his mother and father, I don't see a great deal of respect.
No,
because
they ask him not to do it, and he says,
"Yeah, but I want it. I want it." Or they,
and you're probably a little bit afraid not to give it because he is special.
Well, and you know they're not supposed to eat anything that's been defiled, and he knows that came from the carcass of a lion. He knows, but he doesn't tell them.
Every time he plays a game with sin, he loses. Every time. Every time he thinks he can handle it, he finds out he can't handle it, and he doesn't learn the lesson from it. He's like, but see. I can do it this time.
I just think that should be a bigger thought. I think, and like this says, this chapter is the end of his life. So for 20 years, he's been judging Israel, right? So 20 years, he's been doing things. I guess from my perspective, you're never, just like I said about our friend, you're never too old to be tempted. You're never too old.
Not that I think he's tempted.
No, I don't either. But we've got to stop acting like we get to the place where we're not in a battle. Because if we're not in the battle, we can't just stand still, right? For an older Christian, I think sometimes we might get a little smarter. We might get a little bit more aware of things that are going around. But we can't just let our guard down and do whatever we want to. We can't just do what we want to, right? It doesn't. Even if we build up a long reputation of doing right, we can't just do whatever we want to. We got to end well. Mm-hmm. I think you said that to me once. You got to end well, right? Mm-hmm. But how do we tell a new person who maybe doesn't even really understand all of that?
Sin's sneaky. It's like Samson never saw the grinding mill in the future. Samson never saw being blinded. He never saw, what he saw was, she's really beautiful.
And I love her.
And I love her. Isn't she sweet? And I can handle it. Sin moves slowly. It goes from that wisp to that thread to that woven cloth to that blindness and that mill. Just think, it's a chain. It's not a wisp anymore. It's a big, heavy chain. And he's chained between those pillars. And we never see the chain coming. We think, it's nothing. I can blow that away with a breath, it's gone. And we don't realize that sin doesn't stop, it's progressive. It just keeps going. Mm-hmm. You know what? Get out of there. Go where you're supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Do what God called you to do. Live and love the things that God loves. Seek after the things He wants for you because they're so much better, right?
And start that and stay there.
And and if you're in the position where your hair's shaved off and you're chained with a chain, start over. Mm-hmm. Say, Lord, you're my strength. You're the one that knows what I'm supposed to be doing. Help me to do what you'd have me to do.
And
start over right where you are.
Stop trying to impress the wrong people.
And stop trying to impress.
Stop trying to impress the world. You're never going to impress the world. Somebody will always be there that wants to tell you you don't know what you're talking about. Somebody will always be that one more person that's going to drive you crazy. It's just, why would you worry about them so much? Now, the truth is, we do worry about that. Because in jobs that you have to impress people if you expect to get promoted. But it should never come at the expense of changing who you are. You're good enough, right? You don't have to change.
Well, you're not good enough.
Well, but you know what I mean. You don't have to impress them.
And you don't have to be.
You have to be honest and true to yourself, too. And sometimes we get the idea that if we don't make that good so they know how great I am, you can play that game forever. You're never gonna win that.
We don't have time to, but it'd be interesting to compare the behavior of Joseph to the behavior of Samson, because he also extremely gifted and extremely blessed by God. But what he consistently does is lean into that gift for what God would have him to do, and ends up being used by God in a much different way than Samson.
And yet people would look at Joseph and say, yeah, but he went to prison and he got sold by his brothers.
Way better ending than Samson.
But he ends up in a better place. Samson doesn't have all the suffering and all the grief, but he ends up in a worse place.
Mm-hmm. They're very contrasting views.
That would be a good
what leadership means.
We might have to think of that sometime. Yeah. That might be a good one. All right. Anything else we want to say in summary?
Nope.
All right. Thank you for joining us today on our surprise Sunday edition of Battle Ready. Keep your Bibles open. Read, study, get to church, get involved. Till next time.